BeamNG is a remarkable game, yet it inevitably has its boundaries. For a good reason, that is. One interesting quirk in the game is the Farlands, a fascinating place where the game engine's mathematics begin to break down, resulting in a multitude of bizarre bugs and glitches. This occurs because the math behind the game engine becomes less precise as you move further from the origin point, which in turn results in strange behavior, such as flickering, erratic behavior in the rendering engine, and game crashes. Different phases of the Farlands. Y value of 10,000. At this point, you'll experience a very light tremble in the ground. It may not be easily noticeable, but serves as a subtle indication that you're moving further away from the origin point. Y value of 50,000. The tremble becomes more noticeable, and you'll start seeing small graphical glitches appearing on the screen. Y value of 200,000. The tremble now turns into a shake, which affects not only the ground, but also the shadows of the vehicle. The shaking becomes more intense, and graphical glitches become more visible. Epilepsy warning. Y value of 1,500,000. The shaking becomes even more violent, almost tearing textures apart. The severity of the shaking can make it difficult to focus on driving and navigating in the environment. Y value of 5 million. The ground is now unrecognizable from its original textures, with the terrain appearing to tear itself apart at the speed of light. The vehicle seems to teleport back and forth as well. Y value of 75 million. The camera starts teleporting every time the vehicle passes by, creating a disorienting visual experience. Y value of 250 million. The camera now appears to rotate slightly. Y value of 1 billion. The camera starts to rotate counterclockwise every time the vehicle passes out of view. Y value of 1.5 billion. At this point, the game can no longer handle the calculations, and it crashes. Minecraft players might find the BeamNG Farlands concept sounding familiar, as both games have similar consequences when pushing their game engines to the edge. The similarities between the Farlands and BeamNG and Minecraft are worth noting, as they both involve the game engine breaking down as you move further from the origin point. After venturing into the Farlands, it will be good for us to understand what causes the game engine to break down and exhibit this strange behavior. The game engine relies on floating point numbers to represent and store the position of objects, including the camera position within the game world. Floating point numbers are a way to represent real numbers in a digital format, which allows for a wide range of values, including very large and very small numbers. However, floating point numbers have limitations in terms of precision. When the values are close to the origin point, 0, 0, the representation of these numbers is very precise, with a high degree of accuracy for the fractional part. But as you move further away from the origin point, the available precision for the fractional part of the floating number decreases. This is because floating point numbers have a fixed number of bits to represent the value, and as the values become larger, the bits available for the fractional part are reduced. In BeamNG, one of the most exhilarating experiences is pushing cars to their limits. However, this can sometimes lead to unexpected consequences, such as tires exploding at extremely high speeds. This is due to the centrifugal force generated by the game's real-time physics engine. Designed to simulate real-world physics, the engine doesn't calculate a centrifugal force value, but rather instead, it emerges as a natural byproduct of the physics calculations. The physics engine does its best to simulate the laws of physics, providing realistic driving experience. One of the forces generated during these simulations is centripetal force, which comes into play when an object rotates or follows a curved path. When a tire rotates at high speeds, the centripetal force acts to keep the tire material moving in a circular path. However, the tire's material's inertia resists this inward force, attempting to maintain a straight line of motion. This resistance to the centripetal force results in an apparent outward force, which we perceive as centrifugal force. The internal air pressure within the tire also contributes to the outward bulging, as it pushes against the tire walls. As a result, the balance between the centripetal force, the perceived centrifugal force due to the tire material's inertia, and the internal air pressure causes the tires to bulge outwards. When tires are subjected to extreme speeds, this balance can be disrupted, and if the tire structure is unable to handle the stress, it leads to structural failure and explosions. BeamNG is known for its realistic driving experience, but high-speed crashes can push the game to its boundaries. To gain a deeper understanding of the spiking in BeamNG when crashing at high speeds, I am going to explore the vehicle's physics model, known as J-beam, and how it interacts with the visible model of the vehicles. The J-beam model is designed to simulate the structural properties of the vehicle, such as its weight, flexibility, and deformation, while maintaining a balance between realism and performance. The J-beam model consists of a network of interconnected nodes and beams, representing the vehicle skeleton. This skeletal structure is responsible for simulating the vehicle's physical behavior in response to various forces and impacts. The visible model, on the other hand, is what the player sees on the screen, the detailed, textured representation of the vehicle. To provide a realistic experience, the game engine interpolates between the J-beam model and the visible model, calculating the vehicle's positions and deformations based on the J-beam deformation. When a vehicle is subjected to extreme forces or high speeds, the J-beam model can deform to an excessive degree, causing the game engine to struggle with the interpolation between the J-beam and visible models. This difficulty arises because the game engine tries to match the highly deformed J-beam model with the visible model's polygons, which can result in incorrect calculations and the formation of spikes. As the difference between the intended position and the calculated position becomes larger, the spike grows in length and becomes more pronounced. These spikes might seem bizarre and unrealistic, but they're a testament to the game's commitment to simulating real-world physics as accurately as possible while balancing performance. It's a delicate balance, and sometimes the game engine gets pushed to its limits, resulting in these spectacular outcomes. BeamNG is an incredible game with a very impressive physics engine that does its best to simulate real-world behavior. It's not perfect for many good reasons, and there are some scenarios where the game engine breaks down, resulting in some fascinating behavior. From the Farlands to exploding tires and texture spiking, it's interesting to explore what the game engine can handle. If you would like to see more content like this, subscribe and hit that bell icon.